feel very honored to have a doctor today. We can talk about wellness, music, and these things mixed together. You're a doctor, you have a PhD, you're a musician, psychologist, neuroscientist. So we're going to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
So first, I wanted to ask you, what did inspire you to explore the intersection between music, psychology, neuroscience in your healing work?
Wow, that's a great question. It probably starts way back, with my own experience as a musician. I went to music school long ago for 3 years when I was in college. And, I think I didn't realize so much at the time. I have more insight now, but many people get drawn into music because it helps them emotionally, right? It helps us express things we can't express otherwise. It helps us feel better about ourselves. It changes the way we are in the world. And for me, I think that was very, very true, especially as a teenager when I first seriously started to get into music. Music just did something for me that I wasn't getting anywhere else in life. So the power of music, I think most of us recognize, can be very, very strong, and it certainly was for me. I changed my major out of music and into psychology, and I was so lucky I found a love in psychology because I always thought people are so fascinating. Why did you turn out the way you did and I turned out the way I did? Sort of unraveling the story of people's lives was so fascinating to me. And then kind of fast forward through a whole bunch of different things I've done into the present. About 10 or 12 years ago, I really got into neurofeedback. And I don't know if you know what neurofeedback is, but it's a way of training the brain. So what you do is you put electrodes on the head so you can pick up the electrical patterns that the brain is making. So the brain is a patterning organism, and the neurons, the cells in your brain, fire in certain patterns in order to do things. So they fire in one pattern. If you're reading a book, they fire in a different pattern. If you're sweeping the floor, right, they have to figure out how to make your motor movements a different pattern. If you're riding a bike, a different pattern. If you're watching a baseball game. And what's really interesting as I learned about this, and in neurofeedback, what you do is you reward the brain when it fires in a more functional pattern. So say you have insomnia, you can't sleep. What's happened is your brain has gotten stuck. It's gotten stuck in the awake state, and it doesn't know how to transition into sleep. And so since we know what your brain has to do, we know the pattern your brain has to fire in order to sleep, we can wait, we can put sensors on your head, wait until it starts to oscillate a little bit in that direction, and then we reward the brain by either you're watching a movie and it's really dim and it brightens, or you're listening to music and the music gets louder. And the brain likes that. And so it's like, wow, what did I do to make that movie brighter? What did I do to make that song louder? And it will search around and figure out the pattern that it needs to get into to do that. And then your insomnia gets better. So that's how neurofeedback works. And there's good data for ADHD, and many other seizures and many other brain conditions.
And you don't need to take medication also when you do that.
Well, many people do it to get off of medication or to avoid using medication. It's a non-medication alternative.
Good.
Where you just train your brain instead of taking medication. Some people like to take medication along with neurofeedback. I mean, that's another sort of complicated story. But most people who come through my door to do it either want to get off medication or don't want to take medication. So I'm thinking about this, and the music that often comes with these neurofeedback programs, in my opinion, wasn't really the best. But I was asked by a colleague of mine to write a chapter on music and neuromodulation because he knew I'd been a musician. So I started reading all the research on this, and I was just blown away. I was stunned at all these things like music helps premature babies breathe better and eat better, and they get out of the hospital sooner. Music decreases depression by 40 to 50%. Music decreases anxiety when people have to go through procedures. Music impacts chronic pain. And if you listen to the right music over a long period of time, your chronic pain will actually permanently lessen. I mean, these things are just, I started reading this and I'm like, why aren't we using music more? Like every health professional and every mental health professional should be using music. It's cheap. It's readily available. Like, why are we not saying, here I have this session with you and now let's go home and listen to these songs.
I've opened a few new spots for my 90-day program called the Inner Oasis, designed to help high-achieving women who are stuck in chronic stress and burnout to retrain their nervous system so that calm, sleep, and balance become their default, not a temporary break. I will be using a unique blend of sound healing, energy healing, and journaling. So if this is something you want support with, you can book a call at www.inneroasis.org or use the link in the description to get your personal 90-day recovery plan for free.